Good morning, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today we are on the other side of the ship. I got some boards ready back there for the near the keel, and I've already put one on this morning up here at the top that's flush with the deck. We got one little one we put on up here, but that'll be real short. So I'm gonna do this next one, and I got it a little moist with the paintbrush and water. Just stuck the glue on there. Slide her into position. Get our first tack in there. With this 0.5 millimeter drill bit. A little awkward because I'm not sitting on that 4x4. I can't really hold it while I push on the ship. Sink that nail in there. So we'll get one up. Looking for my wet rag here. Get one there and then come back after we get the board attached all the way across the side. Need to get that big giant block of metal I got and sit back there at the other end. Got something to push against. Get another one here. Okay. As you can see, we got a nice slather of glue on there. Hard to keep it off your fingers. Try to pick up the nail with a pliers so it doesn't end up being the wrong orientation in the pliers. So that's holding nicely. We'll go down and skip another one. Already busted 2 drill bits this morning. For some reason, the top part of that frame why, but it's just plywood. But once I got below where that top nail is, it was not too hard in there, but man, some of those frame members are so hard. I said, oh, I better go ahead and drill all the way in. And when I did, the bit broke off in the hole, almost all the way in the wood, down in the frame and through the bore. Now I'm in this little lower area. It's not near as hard. Probably because the laser cut made the wood hard or something up there. Grain doesn't change anything. That glue is everywhere. I gotta wipe that off first, because if I drill with the glue in the way, I can't see my hole. I can't drive the nail because I don't want to mush the glue everywhere with the hammer. So I got a little bit different lighting this morning. I'm using a light ring. That's sort of behind the camera, and the camera's sitting in the middle of the ring. And I have 3 different colors to use to select from. I gotta put more glue here before I put that pin in there. And it sort of gets rid of all the shadows that are below my arms and stuff when I'm working. Which I noticed there was a lot of shadows in the lower part of the view on the screen. This light ring is throwing a lot of light up from down here in this area, and that eliminates a lot of that shadowing. So we're skipping every other frame for now until we get this on all the way, because there's a little twist in this board. More of a twist sideways than it is a bend, like we have in the front, that big bend. I lost my hole. There it is. And because I'm really don't have a lot back here to hold the ship, I'm not using that pin pusher. A little easier to use the hammer there. Improvise. I'm pushing up on the plank. get it seated up against the bottom of the other plank as I go along pinning here. There we go. Put the steel ruler in the rag, and I can drag it across here and get all the glue off the frame. Very nicely. Went in all the way there because the little piece of walnut that we added. This is the laser cut piece, the light colored one. That's comes with a kit, but then they want you to add this walnut in the front, and then the planks are in the back going perpendicular. But this walnut piece in the front is what we're driving into. And that walnut is hard. So now we can go back and hit. Feels like I hit something hard there too. Wonder what's going on there. Yeah, even when I push in with the pliers, it feels hard. Oh, we got her. Feels normal. You see how the pliers just sort of sunk it right in almost all the way. More glue is swishing out as I do these. Which is a good thing. So this side here gets a few planks on the top. Because we're, getting close to the area where you'll be able to see the cutaway view in there. And we're not going to plank the whole side, just I think it's going to have a few in the front that stop and a few in the back that stop, that go down a little further than these. And then I think it was 9 of them on the bottom that can sort of come up. We'll have to look at the prints. So the planking over here won't take near as long. This basswood, it's harder to see the hole. It doesn't make near as much sawdust as the walnut. Okay, got two more here in the front. With this 0.5 millimeter drill bit. I mean, that baby is tiny. These nails are 0.65 millimeters, which is a little bigger than. So the hole we're drilling is tight to the nail. And that keeps the wood from splitting. Especially when you're drilling on the end. So like I said, I gotta do a little short border in the front to match this one, and then this will get sanded down to match the profile of that big piece in there. And we got a pin sticking out there we got to grind off. But that's the top two. I think there's a few more up there. And I got two ready for the bottom. These are going to run from here up the keel line and do a little twist here at the end. But I'm going to work in the top down before I do them. Try to get the stuff that in the plans shows I need to do for the top. So I'm going to get the book out next and look at what's going on next. Okay, you can see here step 29 is the side that we finished, and then step 30 is it's done all the way except for the rubbing stakes and stuff like that, but that's the one side we finished. And then this step 31 now is showing us the few boards that we're going to put on. We've got two along the edge of the deck, and then one that goes to the second rib, and another one that goes to the first rib, and then a couple that stop at the ending of the bow, and then some Sapula rubbing stakes. I got to look at that a little more closely. You can see the stuff at the rear, the top part of the rear. Here's back at the front again. So that's the part that we're only doing a few walnut planks, the bottom of the ship. And this looks like there's a gap in there for wedges. So you can see that difference between this side and the other side. So that's what we're going to try to match the number of boards, and then where they're stopping at. We got the long ones next to the deck done, and then the first two under there, and one stopping at the second frame, and one stopping at the third frame. And there's going to be a couple more that are going to stop at this frame, the first one. And I got some of those pre-bent, one on each end, so I can cut it where I need to and then glue it on there. So you can see what directions call for and what we're installing. One board at a time. Okay, a little more progress. As you can see, we got some boards on here. Going with these two that are on the keel line. I used my template again. There's 6 boards wide. Got 2 there already, so that's 8, and there's a 9 total. So that gives us number 9 down here. Use that template to mark where all those go so that they're evenly spaced. And that'll match the layout that they've got here for the cutaway side. I'm going to skip every other one until we get up near the last 3. And then we got some more on the top, up here in the front. We got one more to do there. And we got the one back here. It's going to switch over to walnut. We got walnut for a little ways, for a short distance in that rear area. See the walnut there with some rubbing stakes underneath the basswood. There you can see it again. Basswood tapers off, and looks like 3 or 4 walnut boards. It'll go in this area right in here. That'll help it to match this side over here where we're that many down, and then we start with walnut. So that's what we got to do on this side. A little skinny piece, and then it gets wider. So good progress for today. A little bit of trimming to do. The front and the back. All this down here has got to get trimmed, and that one's got to get trimmed. All these will get trimmed for the rudder and the keel. So Getting down to the last few boards. We got, where'd our template go here? Skip, we got one. Skip two. We got two left up here. That's a good feeling, and then a bunch of little short ones, front and the back. Okay, another progress report. This morning I finished putting on the little boards on the ends and the bottom. And because most of the boards were done, I went ahead and fitted these keel pieces because it's pretty tight in there. So I got these all fitted, and I got the rear one ready for the rudder and all that sanded and ground in that area where the rudder's gonna go, and got that attached and glued, ready for the rudder. Just got to cut off a little bit of the top of it where the rest of the keel's gonna come in there, and then the front section here, you see how that's a snug fit down in there to the main frame, in between all them planking boards. And the same with the bowsprit frame. It's gonna fit in there. But before I actually install those, I just wanted to get them fitted because some places it was really tight, and other places I had to get in there and cut quite a bit away with this attachment on the dremel. That'll get us where we're pretty much done with 31 and 32, I think. I'll have to look it over real close. And now we're on to some stuff up on the deck. 33 and 34 and 35 is a little wall that gets built up on the deck to line up with that wall back here. And then those keel pieces get fitted after we do that little wall on the deck. I think there's some laser cut pieces in the walnut and some regular stock walnut that I gotta work into that place. Yeah, I think that's what all these holes are for, is these columns. Bunch of columns up there are gonna go in them holes, I think. And there are some rubbing stakes made out of sapula wood, which is a little different wood than the walnut, that I gotta put on. But I made a good step today with finishing all those little pieces that sort of give you an idea of what planking is like on the cutaway view. So I got them around simulating where you would put your wedges at and so on. And it's pretty much what the plans were showing on the front and the back. So Yeah, just a few pieces of walnut in the front. I did a little different than you can see here. They all stop at the first frame, and then but I sort of carried some of them around a little ways past the first frame, showing you'd put a wedge in there, and because there's really nothing in that area to see. I might put something in there, but I don't know. I just thought it looked cool. So you don't always have to follow directions. If you come up with something that looks neat, you can vary from them a little bit. These are easy enough to cut out of the way and pull the pins out if you want. So that's where we're at today. Tomorrow I'm going to work on these rubbing stakes. That sapula wood on the side there when the ship rubs against the dock. I think that's what they're for. We'll get some of them installed on the far side. Obviously there won't be none on this side. There might be a short piece up here, but all of it's going to be on the one side. Do that and start on this deck. Getting these features done on the deck, because that's a lot of little detail stuff. It's going to take a while before I go fit these keels. But after getting most of that planking done, I wanted to make sure that these pieces were going to fit. And they're snug enough where I don't even need to hold them with all that planking on each side of them. I got it dimensions just right for grabbing those. So we'll have fun tomorrow. Okay, a new step today. Just got these pieces cut out and sanded, and the directions tell me to glue these on first, leaving a 1 millimeter overhang beyond the edge of the deck. I got a little bump down here. That got it. Yeah. Got a big piece of styrofoam left over from something I bought. I think I'm gonna try to carve it out for the bottom of the hull. Put some counterweights in it. It'll be a little better stand to work off of. I'll make it higher. It's about a foot thick. Yep, my glue is glued over. I did spend a little time sanding this surface. And I still got a little bump here on the end. I want this to stay like that with a 1 millimeter overhang. It sort of makes it flush on the inside. It's a little bit of an overhang here now. So you can see I got a bow there and a bow on the bow. And I can get a clamp here, but I can't get one at the bow. How can I do that? Just put a weight on it. That's a little bit much. Definitely got to have something there. So I'm going to take a pin. Do my little 180 trick. I'm going to stab this down into the deck. Try to miss that frame member. That'll hold down on that end and do the same thing up here, I guess. Eh? Why not? Yeah. So that works. That side's done. Probably gonna need the same thing over here. Might as well go ahead and make up 2 more of these. Hold down dogs. And now that I'm looking at this from the inside, you can see I need to move it in a little bit. Glue mushing out there now. Let's try to do this side. Try to get our hold down dog in there. This one's a little flatter than the other one was. Adjust this one out a little bit. Got the 1 millimeter overhang. There. Now the next thing it wanted us to do is take some more of this sapila. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce it, but it's not walnut. You can see it's got some kind of a grain pattern in it that's a lot different than the walnut, and it's a lighter color. So these are 1.5 millimeters thick, 3 millimeters wide. And it wants us to put those one on the outside and build this little wall and plank it, and put one on the inside of those beams to help support them. This is what I want to show you. Here in the front, the basswood, which is the real light colored S-A-P-E-L-I-A, sapila, and then walnut, which is really walnut. I think that's a typo because these are English here in the middle. Coral. I've used a little bit of that somewhere, but I think most of that is pre-cut, laser cut stuff. But this sapula comes in laser cut. That's what this piece is here. This is the laser cut sapula. And then these strips that we're going to fit are sapula, and they're different than the walnut. We got to do one of these. It's going to go outside these holes with that same 1 millimeter overhang all the way down to the rear of the ship with a little bit of a curve to it. That won't be too bad. We'll probably have to make some hold down dog pins for that too after we cut and sand it and get it ready to fit. Do one over there and one over here, and then do our posts, which we're gonna have to make. We're gonna have to make the posts out of some stock. And I'm pretty sure that was walnut, but we got to fashion that shape. Those 188. So we'll cut that out of some stock and then fashion that shape, make it look like a column. And we got 2, 4, 5, 10 of those to do. There'll be 5 on the other side. 10 we got to make, and then a bunch of regular stock that we're going to cut and length, and we'll fit those into these holes all along here. So it's going to be a lot of tedious cutting and shaping, which will be fun. That's what we got to look forward to. Okay, so we got some of the newel posts. They're not newel posts, but they're the posts that 188 described as fashioning. And they're a certain length, and they're going to go in the first 5 holes in the bow. I got 2 of them done, and I got 8 of the ones done that are just straight, that are just down from these. So what I've done here is set this in the vise where the end is flush, and I'm sticking up a millimeter or 2, and I got a sort of a mark here so they can make them all look the same. And I'm just using this little square file and cutting in a little groove or a rabbit. And then the first one I did, I just flipped it 180 degrees, but I had a hard time seeing where the first cut was, so that didn't work out too good. I was off alignment by a millimeter or so. So that's why I'm only turning 90 degrees. I can see the cut on the other side there. And I'll make another cut on this edge. You don't want the cuts to be too deep. These cuts I don't have to measure, or I don't have to be precise in placing it in the vise. It's just the first one. And now for the last cut. Just want to try to make it level and sticking up a little bit. You can see the 2 spots there I gotta follow. Just go in a millimeter or so. And then I take the piece over here to the sandpaper and 45 degrees and a couple swipes. And sort of taper off that head. So I got 10 of these to do. 3 of them are done. And that's what we're putting up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 on the other side. And we got these glued in. And then the other ones are going to be smaller boards, smaller dimensions, 3 by 3 millimeters instead of 3 by 5. So these are 3 by 5 walnut. So I'll get these other ones filed up, ready to go. But we got the 2 sapula edges on there, and I used some of these pins, and I cut them off fairly short because they're actually jabbing down into the edge of this planking. And I only did it like 5 of them. There's 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 up here somewhere. That holds it in place while the glue sets, and it keeps it along that edge line where it's still got the little overhang that they wanted, but not covering up the holes over here. You can't cover these holes up. So that was the tactic that we used to get those to go down good. And that seemed to work pretty good. So we'll finish up them 8, 7 more, and then we'll glue those in. Okay, so we got 13 of these on each side, pre-cut 25 millimeters, and then 45 the ends up here on the top. We got those other 5 are on each side. Those are meant for the ropes to wrap around. Got those done. And I just clamped this piece of longwood on there so they all stay in line with each other. So I know when I do the planking on this part that they'll all touch the planking until that glue dries. Because I think from here back gets planking on the top there. Yeah. So we got all them guys on in step 34. And now I think after we let that dry, we'll work on putting the planking on next. So that was good progress today. A lot of little cuts and sanding and fitting. Even though they were all cut to 25 millimeters, some of them have a piece of frame member underneath the hole and they had to be cut a little shorter. So I used this as a gauge to make them all the same height down through there. But good progress today. Thanks for watching.